Ciao Philadelphia. Extended Prose by Wade Radford. Small screen. You move on the small screen. You move on my small screen as we schedule face calls upon the Earth's rotation. A little late for you to be calling moi, a little early for me to be calling you. It's only 5 hours between us, and I promise not to rouse you early. I'm still here in the early hours, awake and wailing by the wall. Another thud of terror springs me from my weary rest and bounces me across the room. I'm parked here crying. I won't call. You must rest. Just imagine, as I touch down on sweltering hot tarmac, a mirage of better things swirling and spiralling before me. Imagine as I emerge from the flying tin can and gently take each step forward, having left my hell in the place of heaven above. Maybe heaven can handle the heat and the ruin I left spewing out of the aeroplane's vents. Maybe heaven up there will send an army of angels to pick up my grief, and from down below I'll see them gorging upon my gross feast. Bye-bye, England, ciao. I shall wave ciao. Just another arbitrary thought that I focus on heavily as the panting starts to cease and the heart rate starts to steady. Bye-bye, ciao. But no. For tonight, the windows stay laden with frost, the house remains empty and totally silent but for the distinct sound of my own heartbeat. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. For now, convalescent I am not. No, the disease of the mind is still at its peak, and no one cares, aside from you. Love you. Such importance is placed on that 4-letter word. Who knew each letter together, each time it's spoken, could help release such healing energy? Can you imagine when we hug for the first time and that little cuddly hormone goes wild? We can trip wildly on love and oxytocin. Give me the tools in which to OD on oxytocin, please. But wait, we don't feel it so good. Us as fine, strapping men don't get to reap the full benefits of oxytocin like our lady friends. Fuck. Oh well. What we do get from the chemical is the encouragement for spunk. For spunk to travel down our pipes, which is arguably better. Can you imagine that first loving orgasm and how it'll tingle like never before? Our first union will produce steam and flames from our sheets in which we romantically, exuberantly, and vigorously fuck. Sweaty beads will drip off of me and run down onto and across you. It'll roll from my clammy brow and drip into your open, moaning mouth as we destroy each other with pent-up passion. I feel better now. I won't call. Just last night, just hours ago, I indulged in the last of a spring sun going down. There I sat outside at a table at your most stereotypical of British pubs. The warm evening air kissed me, and before me sat a generous salad made up from the bottom of leaf and on top a vast array of olives, chopped raw onion, feta cheese, and sauce. The mind was still swimming in the harrowing mental decline of present and the dreamlike ambition of future. I was finding it difficult to indulge. From time to time I forked a tomato, and it tried valiantly to slip and piss off the plate to avoid capture. An olive would often cuddle a sly piece of feta, and if lucky, find its way to my mouth. It's true. I wasn't at all interested. The order had been placed under the pressure of the fact it was dinner time, and that I really should eat something. The phone on the table continued to bleep. You. A string of sweet words, sweet nothings, encouragement, emojis, and your dreams came through. You, the most fantastical dreamer, my dreamer, the dreamer, dream weaver. I didn't reply. Lost was I in the when, the why, and the how. Often I'd sit back and take in more of the evening rays, red wine lubricating lips, tobacco being sucked in and out. The hustle and bustle, it hustled and bustled around me. Countryside accents of lesser learned men, giggles of their ageing wives, a spritzer for the lady driver wife, a large lemonade for his ever so slightly underage son. Chortle, chortle did the couples at the bar as the wifeys spoke of pastimes and their men made no attempt to mask their small village misogyny. Racial remarks and the approval of Daily Mail politics oozed from every insipid corner of the bar. Dogs yapped by the Wellington boot-clad feet of their farmer owners, warning them of delicate paws. The farmers spoke to each other's spouses, and the dialect would be alien to the ear in Philadelphia. Attired in thick fleece to protect from wind bashing out on the fields, they pondered as they talked the dreams of healthier harvest, better crops, tangy beer, and fucking. Young bar persons attempted to look busy, to disguise the reality of youth, the reality of can't be asked. She then clutched her stomach behind the bar and asked to be freed of duty. Malingerer. She is swapped with another young man, who for his young age has already worked there too long. He steps to the plate to pull pints, spray fizz, pretend to belly laugh his way through the local punters' crass jokes and shit puns. Brave lad. Rinse, lather, repeat they did. Wake, work, drink they did. Same street, same village, same house, same shit. Same spouse, same name, same game, same pain. On they drink as they did the night before. Same Sunday beer as they had last Sunday. Same just a quick one for the road bitter before rushing home to save Sunday lunch cooking in the oven. Same shit, just over and over, repetition on repeat all the weekends of their lives. Security is safe, repetition is safe, but the world is turning without you. I dizzied as I watched rinse, lather, repeat, or is it lather, rinse, repeat? That makes more sense. Either way, don't let me wash this way. I, for one, cannot clutch the same beer all the days of my life. Hello, Philadelphia. Far from quaint British old life will we sit in neon-lit bars late at night, ordering unhealthy deep pitchers of cores. I don't even like cores, or beers, or fucking pitchers of beers, but I'll swallow it down with you if you promise we'll get fucked on the bubbles. Please don't feed me any of that Californian wine. If it's made its vile way down to PA, it has such a poor taste for such sun-drenched grape. Is it all bigger in Philly, like it is in TX, or did substantial not stretch that far? Is all of life larger there? Do towers tower over us on each street? Do the folk still chirp howdy good morning? Do you still ask people, what are you looking at? You did that and made me laugh once as people watched you looking at me on video call. You've always been so proud of me, and though nothing about you screams bruiser, I know you'd die defending me. Will you pour me a sickly, sweet, rich roast in one of those god-awful Starbucks you work in? I drink it down and watch you work a while before roaming the streets until you finish. Would I go to leave the store and take one cupid glance back to see you doing the same? Will we exchange nervous glances? Would I come back to collect you at sundown, and then we'd waltz back to the cupboard that you call a bedsit? Is your cupboard, bedsit in one of those high-rise apartment blocks? I guess it'd be my cupboard also, right? Will I miss the delicate slow pace of English countryside and end up pining to return? Would I wish to meditate once more upon a vast expanse of beautiful green field? Can you and your PA only offer concrete? I've no idea. Maybe I would hope to lay upon crop and sneeze a lot. I snap back to the now mildly chilly evening. My cigarette has been burning for quite a while in the tray, and a snake of gross ash lays perfectly formed. Will we run up the long concrete steps to the gallery like Sylvester did and throw our arms up in loving triumph? Are you finished? I'd been ignoring the salad a while now. Go figure. She takes away my mountains of leftovers. Compliments to the chef. She smiles, not fucking impressed at all. I rescue one final puff from the fag and swig down the last of my red. Of course I did at nearly £5 a glass. The twisty feeling in my tummy returns, a blur in the mind, a speedy pulse. Time to leave. Bye-bye, White Hart Sherrington. Many a nervous feeling, many a strain, many a heartache I have sunk inside of you, well, sunk in the alcohol you provided me with. As I sit balancing out against the wall, I check the time. 4 a.m. My salad has only been rotting in a bin for maybe 8 or 9 hours. Time has passed slowly. I won't call. I lift myself up and go back over to the bed. I lay down and try to remain focused. We had fallen asleep on the phone together, as we do so often. When I'd awoken in a frenzy, I'd hung up quickly, as not to rouse or worry you. Many times have I been lucky to awake to the gentle sound of your breathing, completely in sync, your natural rhythm. Knowing you are still on the line, I've often refused to open my eyes, just laid there hearing you gently snooze. As I lay there with my eyes tightly shut, I imagine you are there next to me. When I then open them and see the phone lying there lifelessly, it's the same disappointment and longing all over again. One day your head will lay there instead of that phone. In its place you will lay. I will rest upon your chest as you sleep so deeply, and I will hear each and every heartbeat. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Head on your heart will become a peaceful meditation that will forevermore soothe me back to a restful slumber. You've a few hours yet. I will not call. I will, however, set our song on repeat and lay on my side hugging a pillow. Now the panic has for the most part subsided, I will again submit myself to the unassuming rhythm of this very early morning. I will bathe within the natural flow of the universe and try to comfort myself that I am, of course, in the right place at the right time. I breathe in and I exhale bullshit. Phase 1. When atoms collide. I am alone. That is where the path has led. It's where the path has taken me. A serial monogamist, they call me. I really must work on that. I have been a lover, have taken many a lover, indeed have loved away my misspent youth. We are all in love and sick of love and loveless. Some find comfort in routine love and settling in with their chosen mate. Others need to take many a lover to bridge the gap of their aching soul. And then there are those who are addicted to the formation of love. I am in hindsight the latter. A little bite of the lip here, a little pucker up there, a warm embrace, a first kiss, first touch, first fuck. All the while, my little neurotransmitters are going nuts. Do this, do that, the little signals shout as they race to limbs, to thoughts and to actions. A little chemical to make me feel like that, a little chemical to make me feel like this. Sometimes we help them along a little with a lie and shove copious amounts of substances into our bodies to further fuck with our chemical balance, or to, of course, disguise an imbalance. All the while, these little cells react, minds react, I react to all the hormones, and shit, these little signals send to moi. Kiss him first. No, too shy. Give him a hug. Gross. Get away from me. They have complete control of me, do these little chemicals and all their chemistry. They want me to date you, dine with you, speak to you, hold you, kiss you, thrill you, and fuck you. Damn, how did that signal make me stand so quickly? It is literally throbbing. Open up. Serial monogamy. the practice of engaging in a succession of monogamous sexual relationships by the Oxford Languages. Not so much an out-and-out whore, but a whore who spends a large amount of time with you. He falls as quickly out of love with you in the same time frame as he did falling in. The quick, sharp, whirlwind shock. What a head fuck. Fuck off chemicals. I personally believe just as many relationships are formed online as ones not these days. How could that not excite you? The messaging, the first phone call, the arousal, titillation, the longing to meet. Then comes the actual meeting, which can potentially have varying results, from going perfectly right across to being found in a ditch off the M25 with a wide arsehole. How masochistic we are. You popped into my inbox. I think that's how the kids now put it. Literally, the hazel eyes, dark-skinned stranger popped into my life as he undertook a move from Jersey to Philadelphia for school, work, and finally, independence. It isn't any more fancy than that. It isn't something to lace the pages of Time as a grand or historic event. It won't mean fuck all to anyone 100 years from now. It's just another online meeting of minds, like all the other fucking online meetings. It is nothing more nor anything less. Nothing special or extravagant. It isn't even relevant to you in any way. We met and all those little neurotransmitters went wild. We two strangers hit up a conversation, and that won't mean anything to anyone but the participants involved. Just another love story to get lost inside an archive of all the other mushy stories. We've all had one, you know, a love story. They differ in that some people are relentlessly unlucky in love, some people find it instantaneously, some people spend their whole lives trying, some are lucky to be loved repeatedly, and then some unearth the most soul-crushing experiences in the pursuit of love. Love is a product of the human experience, for better or worse. It's unavoidable. You will love both on a platonic level and a romantic level. Prove me wrong. You'll never ignore completely that fire inside. You're going to get lost in it, adored by it, and maybe fucked up by it. Mr. Cash had a point, right? But love. I am so fascinated by you, in awe of you, a slave to you, longing for you, often rejecting you, and super perplexed by you. The heart keeps you moving and living as it beats, ba-bum. It keeps you existing, keeps you going, yet we fuck around with that muscle as though it can be so easily replaced. We are so willing to serve that muscle up on a plate, just as long as we get just a little nibble, a little taste of that goddamn four-letter word. Love. It didn't take you long to drop that four-letter word. Am I really that easily lovable? Maybe if you manage to love me so dearly, so freely, so quickly, then I can do the same. Serial monogamist, I am reminded. Is it love, or is this love of yours lust? Other transmitters sending quick-fire blood to your dick, and it's overpowering the brain, igniting all that is man and hungry about you? Or, darling, is it love? Is it the kind of love that loves unconditionally? You know, there's no such thing for you, right? Your condition is that I love you back. Get my point? Many have that condition in return for their heart, and rightly so. Does this love you found promise to protect me, cherish me, never lie to me, strive for me, embrace me, keep me, die with me? That four-letter word ain't half being thrown around these days. You text me relentlessly as you boarded the train destined for your new life. You were alone but for the Brit boy on your phone. I was by your side electronically, in your pocket, if you like. I could go as far to say I was envious of your new adventure. I wanted to venture into the unknown and new. I wanted to venture with you. I am the constant lost wanderer, wandering from one life to another, constantly seeking something that I never seem to find. I've had these itchy feet so long, and you make them tingle like never before. You lift my sedentary feet back onto the pavement and make me want to kick up some dirt in pursuit of treasure. Don't get too familiar with Philly. Leave something new for us to discover. These pins and needle feet need motion. Voices turned to faces staring at each other on screen from morning till night. From one sunset became dawn. When the texts of day turned to faces of evening, we knew we were home. Your wonderful, smiling little milky face on camera delighted me. Your words inspired me. You made me yearn for you, for this new life. You and I were dangerous. We spoke of no boundaries. Most of what we said totally nonsensical to any sound mind. Our danger lay within the potential excesses of our union. We'd be willing to pop ourselves in the apple press and squeeze until everything we had ran out. I knew it to be totally possible that you'd cradle me from my anxious pit until I eventually boarded that tin can to our promised land. Your voice so gentle, so softly spoken, always reassuring and supportive of all I do. Dream man. You'd reassure relentlessly that what my mind endured would be endured until this fear was conquered and won, that I would defeat this anxious disease, and the reward? Eternal love. Forever, the pessimist, I sway between being captured by your ambition and then resigning from your dream and back to a dark and desolate place. You call, and I then become distant as that depression creeps back in. What, honey? Are you going to help fund my ticket? Help bring me to your land? What? No visas exist? I'm going to touch down and hide in your cupboard with no one after me? Will you bring me home Starbucks in a keep warm takeout cup? We gonna cook together like we said? You think the world won't work against us? It won't pull us apart? Will the bed stay warm after the initial heat? The sheets won't face a chill? As time goes by, will we outgrow our cupboard and search high and low to make an extra buck? While you slave at work, will I fulfill dreams of some American movie work or a poetical tour? Will people ask me, hey, what do you do? Will I reply with full honesty that I'm an unemployed British immigrant who came here in the name of love? Or will I wear face and pretend I'm between jobs because I am a cunty artist with a cunty ego? And you, my handsome hazel prince, have an answer for everything. You answer all my questions with an impenetrable optimism and a sheer belief in our love. You know in heart that your love will defy the odds and bring us home together. What else do we need aside from a small room together and food? That's what you said, oh ambitious one. You who had enough dream reserves for everyone. You who knows of no reason why I can't be yours and that you can't be mine. I am in awe of your ability to dream, your ability to help me get the plane ticket and figure the rest out later. I don't believe you, for I don't believe in happy ever after. I've been to other places where wanting, needing, yearning, believing just aren't enough. I don't consider myself a sucker like the others who made an impossible journey in the hope of lapping up the sparkles and glitter of Hollywood. If you walk a little further beyond Sunset Strip and Boulevard, many tin cans and a few cents line the streets of beggars. They arrived but never drove off into their sundown. My journey is Philly. It's you. It's not Hollywood in any way, but it'll potentially devastate me, just like those who never got to live the Hollywood dream and instead got crushed under their own futile ambition. This is not simple. Philadelphia is just as ominous as that big American dream called Hollywood, and if we don't believe that, then we may as well play chicken amongst the San Andreas fault line. Just slip between the cracks of our own earthquake. You get so upset with me and my interchangeable ways. Often I have the ability to create gallery-perfect pictures with you, cool evening on a sidewalk outside a corner cafe dining al fresco. We sit, remembering all we fought against to be here together. Nice. You like those cute little natural dreams. You then days later find me fresh in the gutter rejecting all the dreams we've made. Maybe I am wrong to not live in hope like you, or maybe it's you who needs to wake up and smell the coffee that you make. But you are quite simply beautiful. A kind, beautiful, honest man. When my birthday rolled around, You video called and showed me with much enthusiasm the cake you'd baked for me. I couldn't be there, but you wanted me to see the gesture, the loving gesture. You wanted to show off your creation, show the numbered candles upon the top. Was it also a sign of your domestic prowess? I think it was, and I loved it. You stood on camera with such glee, beside yourself with clear pride that you could make me smile from across the ocean. You showed me your little kitchen, showed me all of the cupboard in which we'd reside. This was your start for us until we moved on up, together. You are the boy who will mark each anniversary, aren't you? You'd forget everyone in your life in order to place me on a pedestal, to adore me all the days of your life. Please don't do that. As ridiculous as this is, I know that without even having stood before me in the flesh, you would love me all the days of your life, until death do us part. Phase 2. Ride a white swan. He teasingly gyrated on top of me. This our first date, this our first day. For such an unconfident man, he seemed to be doing really quite well. I really hope we are not just hooking up. I do actually like you. The neurotransmitters were at work. Inject that dopamine, baby, and let's get fucked. Fucked. Fucking. All the fucking loin stirred as he continued to playfully work my lap. I stood to attention below, and he had mine undivided. He often crept down for a kiss, and I felt his rugged stubble graze me. I could see little strands of hair poking out from the neck of his t-shirt, chest hair. Come hither. My hands wandered down clumsily to the prick-like shape in his slim jeans. It had been a fucking while, and I wanted that prick, even if he himself turned out to be just another prick. We'd met on a dating site, and he hit me up, as the kids still call it. We spoke nightly, and here we were just a week later on his two-seat sofa working up to a sly rendezvous. I liked him. Beautiful, pale skin I now stroked my hands upon, pale and soft even though it was covered in a firm mat of black curly hair. Hair covered his arms thickly, his legs thickly, and his chest a fluffy pillow that secured me. I wanted to curl my fingers through his chest hair as he rode me in sheer ecstasy. When the teasing reached an uncontainable level, we took hands and chased upstairs toward the bedroom. We tore off clothes and peeled off boxers. We laid back and rolled each other through our hands, nervous digits from time to time fumbling to stimulate those pricks. So, the swan rode. He rode in what seemed like pure sensual euphoria as he groaned with each flick upon my dick. He clearly knew how to ride and had been to many a rodeo. All the hours the two of us raced in and out of rooms, enthusiastically as the hours continued to pass. Flirting, talking, learning, wondering, fucking. Just that morning, prior to my departure to England's garden, Philadelphia had called. I was enchanted under a new spell. I had places to be, and I hadn't heard from him in months. I thought we were done with this. I mused as the call tone screeched and his name appeared. "Can you talk?" he whispered. I said no. It had been months with no word or signal, and the serial monogamist stirred deeply within, roaring to feel some fire and affection, with a longing and the need. I promised him, though, that I would call back in a few days, but I longed for another love story. I can comfortably, candidly, shamefully admit that by late afternoon, when I was covered in sweat, fucking rampantly, and spraying my seed, I'd forgotten all about Philadelphia. But after all this time, we'd forgotten each other, hadn't we? Phase 3. When atoms combine. Maybe I don't possess the same resilience as most. These calls cannot seem to sustain me. They don't allow my fire to calm. They don't take away that longing ache. And not one single thing we seem to do seems to bring us physically together. Days have turned into months already, and though I listen to your nightly wishes, hear the inviting stories you tell me, my passion still seems to dim with the reality that you have all these visions but no real action plan. You tell me you'll catch a flight to England and stay just a weekend so we get a taste to keep us strong. You say it's our only option right now. You take that long, cumbersome flight just to stay a few days before returning to your duties back home. It wouldn't sustain me. If you arrived and it truly signalled our journey's start, then all it'd do is break me to watch you leave just as quickly as you arrived. I happen to believe 2 to 3 days is more detrimental to our already worn emotions. Only 2 days. Only 2 days or so to hold you as we chat. 2 nights to listen to you soundly sleep. A fleeting brush against your delicate, smooth skin. A few kisses here, and a few kisses there, that will dry upon our lips in no time. I long for each and every part of you, yet you are so far away. I want to envelope you within my grip and feel your naked skin close against mine. I want my cock to rest flaccidly upon your behind all the night through. You knowing I'm there by the connection of our nude bodies, our derma meeting and sharing heat between those sheets that wrap us and bind us so close. As we sleep, I want to naturally turn over, and your slumbering instinct is to chase me and pull me back into you. Your genitals now resting upon me. I'll eventually roll back and we'll meet in the middle, flattening our spines out so each vital part of our manhood meets in the middle. We'll then awake at dawn with kisses and drape our naked bodies in only dressing gowns. We will sip steamy drinks as the sun comes up slowly from behind the trees. With no lights lit in the room, and only that faint early morning yellow beam peeping through the window, then potentially you'll tear the gown from my shoulders and lick upon my neck. Maybe we'd do it on the floor and rush away the remaining fabric from our bodies and fornicate to an audience of sky expanse. Then we'd stand and lay upon the table in which we'd just been sat at sipping tea. We'd knock at objects clumsily. They'd fall to the floor as we grasp and fuck, indulging in our new flesh we've waited so long to grasp and to hold. Then we'd make our way back upstairs and sleep under the ascent of sun. We'd stir around lunch and come deep inside of each other once again. I think I love you. I know we'd take these special moments of natural intimacy and let them rush over us in a deeply moving, meaningful and tender way. Each taste of ours, pure pleasure. Each taste slowly consumed, each and every second a blessing. You come and fly over and we fall further, we fall harder and beg more than ever. Then you disappear and be gone once more, begging, yearning once more. I don't need to live on a false hope. You say it wouldn't happen, but we both know deep down that it would. So then I drop you off Monday by the terminal of the airport, with each foot kicking my gut and tears swelling behind my eyes. I drop you off knowing that it may just be the first and last time before the universe conspires against us. I drop you by that terminal, with a pain radiating inside like an ache I've never known. We then embrace and cling on with these fucking clothes between us, our heat cooling, the lover growing gradually distant. What then? You walk away and turn back one more time to face me from afar and wave that I will have to see tears streaming from your gorgeous hazel eyes. The thought alone of those tears chokes me. It chokes, okay? It makes the drops fall from my eyes. You cry, then I cry, and we cry together, but we somehow still cry alone due to distance. I can't stand the thought of more pain. I can't stand to see you in pain as you walk away slowly. You arrive home and the cupboard seems more lifeless and lonely than ever before. I roll over in bed and still smell your hair product upon my pillow. The loaned dressing gown is covered with your scent, and I won't be able to stand it. Bits and pieces still lay undisturbed on the floor below the table in which we made love upon. It isn't enough, and it won't ever be enough. Rose petals still lay washed up in a bathtub without water. Did we love there below the bubbles? A burnt-out candle sits beside the tub, and the faint aroma of cherries still lingers. My bedroom door, as it opens on that first night alone, sends out a whiff of sex from the weekend gone by. Our sex. Our natural, so natural scent of sex and sweat. I don't want the aroma of the love we made to turn to my midnight despair. I won't do this to me, and I won't do this to you. We fall together, but we fall apart. The whole of the bloody wall came caving in and tides came crashing down. Lines appear below tectonic plates. They grind against one another. Pressure, pressure, forcing together. They are trying to become one. The harder the plates try to merge into one, the more dangerous the force becomes. The strain builds and builds, and no matter how much you try, you cannot surmount the pressure that forces you together and eventually rips you apart. All we can do is look up and scream at the broken crust down the fault line. All of this is our fault for dreaming, our fault for so rapidly falling and trying to dictate the rhythm of life. We cannot rage against the distance. We cannot yell at ourselves in disappointment over the finances and potential advantages that we were not born into. We can live in hope, which amounts to the same as bathing in lunacy. Eventually, these plates of ours that we force together too quickly will break. More cracks will appear, and we will slip from grip, causing our world to rumble and quake around us. We are tectonic. We all make up the natural structure. We cannot manipulate that structure, but we've tried, and the result is natural disaster. Phase 4. Neuroplasticity. The rewiring shifts from time to time, and food is provided for thought, with our ever-evolving and ever-aging minds. We are all growing with each passing day, and as time passes us by, we find our needs and wants change, sometimes. I think back to the boy fucking around with his salad outside of a quaint British pub. Why the hustle and the bustle? That singular night still resonates with me. I don't know. Of all the days full of all the hours that made up months in which plans were made, that night stands out most. Again, I don't know why. Was it that a young man sat there, at a crossroads in his life, considering his next step? I couldn't honestly say. He sat there exuding well-being and joy over the possibilities of new beginnings. If anything, he could have been best described as bitter and morose. That young man was obviously me, as I was back then. Let's not confuse my sullen and tired complexion as a sign of somebody who didn't deep down want to make that transition. I wanted it with every single part of my being. I was young, and everything about me was so complex, as it is standard for that age. Fear penetrated me and instructed me to make my world so small. It isn't unrealistic, the story of a person upping and leaving in search of something better. Fear always kept my feet on the ground. It was a fear that I traded in the little I had for something far worse. The irony in the end was that I did that anyway. What seems safe is sometimes the cover for something unimaginably horrendous that lies just beyond that bend in sight. All the young lovers have always been dreaming, and that is totally beautiful. Too often our dreams are instantly crushed by reality, so if we can savour them just a while and dance within their promise, then we could submerge in a blissful illusion for just a little time. Is it right to point out the seemingly obvious to others when we hear their ludicrous hopes? Or is it best and more kind on occasion to allow them those visions, to allow them to float out on the Milky Way that lies beyond their usual everyday world? Let us all dream, just a little bit. That's what the two of us did. We floated far out into space, for a time, to a place where oceans not separate us and love knew no boundaries. We dared to imagine our crossing cultures, and we dared to defy limitations. We promised to defy them. Like all the other keyboard-wielding romantics, we happened upon a meeting that pushed our imaginations to flow beyond what was offered on our own doorsteps. Places we could run to and hide to, places to disappear to and consider never coming back. A place that sucks and draws you in so naturally. Back home, time erases your face to those who once knew you. You become not even a ghost, you just cease to exist. I love dreaming. Dreaming is a freedom that can't be taken from us. In order to take our one true freedom, you'd have to be willing to slice off our heads. Daydreaming has been a hobby of mine for my eternity. From small feet to big feet, I've imagined a million scenarios and then maybe a million more. Dreaming kept me stepping, kept me moving, and kept that anxious fretting at bay for maybe just an hour or more. That's until I met Philadelphia. I realised I was just your standard dreamer, that all I did was just daydream and resign myself to the very limitations that dreams are just that and cannot evolve beyond fantasy. I was caught in the make-believe trap, enjoying the images so much that I forgot the purpose of dreams, the very real possibility that actually they can come true. I forgot to let them leak into my own reality. Philadelphia dreamt also. But he kept his dreams as goals. He believed honestly that we could achieve anything we wanted to, as long as we had each other. In hindsight, I believe him now. He had passion for life, passion for love, passion for succeeding, and plenty of passion for me. When I turned my back on all we'd planned and encouraged him to do the same, I must have broken his innocent heart. My heart no longer believed. My heart had grown impatient. It had turned cold, and I couldn't bear the fallacies any longer. Our paths drifted and separated in two different directions. I fought. What? You wanted the happy news? That we found a way to be together, and we finally ran into each other's arms with salty tears streaming down our cheeks? That we got into a car and drove away together like all the best movies? That on the first night we poured the aforementioned bath and inhaled cherry scents whilst washing each other's backs? That we then cradled naked bodies and touched very real skin for the first time? That we had sex slowly and deeply below the stars and found it hard not to cry in relief that our act of making love allowed us at last to join as one? We'd be one real living being combined by our lusty fornication. Nearly. I forgot to call him back after his surprise telephone appearance. I now walked around dizzy and in love, sick for the swan I'd found in England's garden. My promise of a call upon my return home was forgotten. I was busy with my newfound urges, busy creating something I was sure had potential. Busy admiring something hairy and charming that physically stood before me, something that I hadn't left behind months ago. A few days later, bereft of my call, he sends me just one photographic picture. Philadelphia sent me an image that contained two items, pictured up close. One was a passport, and the other a ticket that would carry him to me. Phase 5. When atoms combust. There's some events you just wish you could erase. Some noises that still heckle your eardrums and echo deep inside the hallways of all your time. How you sobbed and how I cried with you. But you must try to understand that this fear would not release me. This coward here chose present and safe. A coward such as I. Would you now sit comfortably in the knowledge that my everything safe was a journey into destruction beyond any comprehension? Would it please you that the choices I made quickly faded into regret and then exploded into my just desserts? That what I chose was not in fact shiny or golden? That the creme de la creme he promised was in fact a cesspit of lies and deceit? No, I don't think that any of that would please you. If anything, I truly think it'd break your heart, because you have a good one, because you loved me. And aside from your condition that I love you in return, the rest of everything you gave was truly, indeed, unconditional. A pure love without motive, a love that was never laced with envy or control. You've got an honest, pure kind of love that anyone would wish for. I had it once. Thank you. Did you arrive at Gatwick and take the train to central London? Did you spend the weekend there watching the world go by from behind coffee shop windows? Did your hands fumble over your phone, toying with the idea of reaching out to me just one more time? Did you have the urge to try me and dare me to arrive? Or did a handsome London stranger catch your eye from above your steamy mocha and ask to join your table nervously? Did you ever turn up at all? I wonder if your ticket got ripped into tiny shreds and then blew away in the breeze of a landfill. Did the little torn pieces sit there, poignantly displaying the outcome of our love? Torn by your rage, did pieces float through the world like we did, and then decompose and cease to exist, just as we did? Over the years, I wrote you a few poetical ramblings. Did you see any? Did your disappointment in me cause you to never again seek me out, to never hear my words, to never listen to my deep tones recite our affair? I don't even know a damn fucking thing about Philadelphia. Is it particularly nice there, or do people's shoulders slump forward as they walk around its redundant, crumbling streets? Or do people throw their hands in the air and thank God to be blessed for this life in Philadelphia, PA? This thing, our thing, always came with little understanding about the place I was intending to travel to. You gotta believe me, during our correspondence it was a very real idea I explored. Fuck it, who gives a fuck about Philly? You live there. That was my thought process in those early days. My excuse is fear. My fear remains the same. If that excuse does not amuse you, then please just know from the bottom of my soul that it is a true excuse. Not even really an excuse at all. Know that you were divine, and that I am sure you are still divine. You kept the boy dreaming of better for just a little while. You littered his mind with little sprinklings of hope when the darkness from outside tried to creep into the room. Would you accept this as a love letter? Would you please look upon it and be reminded that this was the very reason you became untraceable? That maybe after all was said and done that you were happier without me? Untraceable you became. I've tried, I promise. But please tell me you dream on. Dream maker, dream creator, dream weaver. Dream on, dream on, dream on. I hope somebody is loving you now. Ciao, Philadelphia.